my colleague did at Karolinska in Sweden. And the reason why we founded a company is because we gotten a chance to work with a super cool technology that we were and are convinced that will revolutionize the pharmaceutical industry. And for us, the most straightforward and fastest way how to give this technology to, let's say, public use or like general use was to actually start a private company. A bit about my journey. I have several educations. I studied economics and management, but I have always been fascinated by science. So I also I spent quite a lot of time with biology and molecular biology, and I have a PhD in molecular biology. And then I came to Sweden, where I did postdoctoral studies at Karolinska when I studied brain cancer, and that's where I grew very frustrated because when you study the disease, or even today, we study diseases or human diseases in animals, and in most of the cases, animals either don't have the disease or it looks or behaves very differently. So it's very hard to translate the results from preclinical animal studies into what does it actually mean for human patients. And then because Sweden has a very good innovation ecosystem where they support in many ways. They support translation of basic research into applied research and into companies or business. I started several startup companies, and right now I am a CEO and chairperson in BrainZell. And I just want to emphasize here for the students that your journey can be different, of course, but what kind of will pay off in your life is when you keep trying to find what you really love and what really motivates you, and you don't stop searching for it or acting on it once you find it, because that's the most rewarding and best spent time or your talent. So when I talk about the company BrainZell, we founded the company 5 years ago in Stockholm in Sweden, and we are addressing the problem that in neuroscience the success rate of new medicines going to the market and reaching the patients is very low. It's only 6% of the drugs that worked on animals that actually work on humans. And it's quite a big problem. There is 1 billion people with mental disorders, but also quite a lot of patients with various dementias, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. And as the population grows older, this is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. And what we have developed in our company is something called human brain organoids, so miniature organs. This is a microscopy picture, but basically those are like miniature tissues which simulate the parts of the real human brain, and we make them from human induced pluripotent stem cells, which you can get from a skin biopsy. And what we are specialized in is large production of these mini brains, which is on a scale that it actually is applicable for industrial use. So our potential customers are pharmaceutical companies who make new medicines. And just briefly, how does the process work? We start with these pluripotent stem cells, which can come from anyone, any person, any patient. We just take a bit of skin or even blood sample nowadays, and we create stem cells in the laboratory. And then we take these stem cells and we transform them into prefrontal cortex. It takes roughly 10 weeks, and we have functional neurons and brain immune cells. So this is just briefly, and what it serves for is to test new molecules that are in drug or medicine development. You can test them faster and on a much bigger scale than you would be able to do with animals. And when you are founding a company or a startup, you have to think about value. And you heard it from AstraZeneca, and I think in general, in life science or other industries as well, we are all driven by providing the benefit to the patient or benefit to the society. So that's in the end. But how to get there? And to be honest, a lot of my research, when I was a researcher, just ended up in the drawer. But the way how to get it out and how to get it used by people is actually, or one way how to do that is to create a company and create business or make money on it. So there also is this monetary value which needs to be working. On the other hand, if we have profits, we provide salaries, we employ more people, and we increase the GDP of, let's say, our countries or our continents. But when we go back to how the pharmaceutical industry works, the big part of this, how the whole system is possible to work, it is based on patents, and the molecules are patented, and that means that pharmaceutical company has roughly 20 years from, let's say, some invention of the molecule until like end of the patent, and what they are after. So the only time window where you can make real money is when no one else can sell it, only you. So you need like these exclusivity sales, because after that, when it's publicly available, the structure of the molecule, then suddenly the price goes like 100 times down. But the R&D is very costly, so we need to be able to pay for it. So that's why the exclusivity sales have their role. What we are helping with is to make this R&D faster, so there is a bigger window for this exclusivity sales. That's how our business works. When I look at, when I think a bit about like pros and cons of building a biotech company, pros is that it's a big market and growing need. Always we detect more and more diseases, and so the need for healing people, healing patients is ever growing. And the unmet needs are huge, especially in neuroscience. It has been decades until a new schizophrenia drug, for example, became available. All drugs have very, very severe side effects, so there is a big need. And also, in our case, or you as a researcher, your research can have practical impact on people. You can see it during your lifetime. Cons, it's extremely heavy on technology. It's very demanding on time. The R&D takes time, but also we need high-end equipment. And what AstraZeneca said, we are, for example, now using a microscope There are 3 microscopes in Sweden. One is in AstraZeneca and 2 are at Karolinska. So to have access to these special microscopes, it's extremely important, but also difficult to get. And then we also need super trained experts. All of our employees are PhDs. Most of them are postdocs or have been postdocs before. And it is IP, intellectual property is being developed and it needs to be protected. Otherwise, the commercial value just plummets down. What I have learned that this is like extreme deep tech, this science-based, especially if it's like a very new technology, it's very dependent on people and money. So it costs money to bring a company or technology, science-based technology to life and to be used in the market. It takes money. And also timing is very important. Suddenly, after COVID pandemic, everyone started acknowledging that biotechnology and life science companies and life science research in general has its important role in society. What we are doing right now in the company, we have secured first equity investment. We have filed first patent. We launched first products. Out of last year, we were 1 person. Now we are 6, and we are focusing on commercialization, but still doing a lot of R&D. And this is the journey. This is what it takes in Sweden to build a startup company. So university, like we did, I don't know, like 7 years of research at university, but that was just the starting point. And then we both, me and my co-founder, we were unemployed for some time. Luckily, we got a lot of support in incubators and accelerators in Sweden. We received quite a lot of soft funding, so grants. There is a innovation agency in Sweden who specializes in providing grants for translation of basic research into, or spinning out basic research into companies. And we heavily focused on R&D. We did validation study. We used equipment at core facilities and in universities. And that brought us to, let's say, more commercial phase where we are right now. Because of that, we were able to secure private financing from venture capital. And now we are having first customers. It took some years. It took some money, approximately, let's say, 1 million. 1 million euros before we were investable. And what is special about Swedish system? Sweden has something called professor's privilege. So when you are a researcher at a research institute or university, you as a researcher own the intellectual property that generates a patent. So we could take, let's say, our property, intellectual property, and make a patent and put this in as a, let's say, asset into the company, which is quite, I think Sweden is the only country in the world. So this is quite unique, and it does promote growth of startups and like spinning out more and more research from the universities. How we deal with collaborations and partnerships. We do collaborate both with researchers and universities, but also with startups and other companies. And I heard somewhere that an idea is worth nothing. And when I heard it first time, I felt offended, but it's true. What is worth something is the execution on the idea, and that is worth protecting, either as trade secret or as patent. And then for a patent or any value that you are creating, what is the most important is the evidence, like the results and real world evidence. So that is worth patenting or protecting, and that you shouldn't tell anyone, because it's crucial for a company to keep the intellectual property secret. On the other hand, when we look at partnerships, we do partner up with researchers and companies, because that's where the innovation is, let's say, incepted. And we do apply for grants together, both with researchers and companies. And there is, for example, an example what as a guideline, this DESCA project management, which is what you have to sign when you get a EU grant. And it basically states very well what is your IP, what is the partner's IP, what is gonna be done with the jointly generated IP. And with companies, we also sign CDAs, confidentiality agreements, that we will not talk about anything related not only to research, but also to business, like, for example, clients. That's also worth protecting. Life science industry, what does it mean? There are several parts, for example, diagnostics, medtech, that's medical devices, biotech and pharma, developing new drugs, and health tech, that's mostly apps or tools for helping patients and clinicians and doctors. What is specific about this industry? There are heavy regulations because we deal with people. Patents it's heavily patented, and the R&D is long and costly, but it solves big societal needs, and it can mean the forefront of innovation. So it's kind of exciting. So if you want to start today and go from academic research into industry, and build your own company, what I would recommend, where to start: connect with people, build network, and then don't hesitate to ask people around you for help, and keep asking, even if you are bigger and grow and the company grows. Always don't be afraid to ask for help and provide help back. What you can do, find transfer offices at university, try to connect with mentors or coaches, find incubators or accelerators. This is very different depending on the country where you are, but I think most of the universities nowadays have at least some transfer office. And then you have to look for soft funding, because that's the best beginning. There is national funding, and here's one link to European funding, for example. You also look at, so this is a technical university in Sweden, KTH. They have developed very good system how to evaluate readiness of your idea and of your whole business. So look at their website. They have a very good explanation, and if you follow it, you for sure you will build a great company. When you look at where to get money to finance the startup, soft funding like grants, but often there are also innovation loans. And then if you look at investors, there are business angels, and later on venture capital investors. And keep in mind that the revenue, like your own profit, is actually the best funding, and it attracts investors as well. It's very crucial to have the right people, especially in the beginning. They should be self-driving, very resilient, persistent, but also creative, maybe a bit naive, overly optimistic, and skilled, preferably in more than one area. And good thing is that scientists do fulfill, more often scientists do fulfill these criteria. So you are already positioned very well. And this is just a list. If you really want to start today, what exactly should you do? Look at the market, build a company, start a company, find an accountant, patent, and sell. in a short. Yes, and don't be afraid to connect with me as well if you want.
Thank you, Petra. I see we're coming towards the end. I'm going to allow it to go over a few minutes, just for a few questions to you, and then also to catch up on one or two other last questions that we had that were still open. Just a direct question straight off. So, do you think open science is actually beneficial to researchers, and especially those researchers who will leave academia? And would you employ such researchers over others? Would that be a priority for you?
When we, as a company, when we plan to publish, we do want to have open access. So once we publish it, then we want everyone on the planet to be able to read it. But publication is great because that protects you against your competitors filing patent. So there needs to be some mechanisms because we have to protect what we are developing because it costs money and time. And we would employ, or we try to be open, but we cannot, like certain things need to stay secret. And the thing is, if you, it's like exposing yourself competitors. So either you make money or they make money. And in the current geopolitical situation, it's like you hear it all the time. Money is what matters. And then it depends where it comes from. I hate patents, but so far I haven't seen any better mechanism how to protect value.
And I guess it is a tension between these two of how much you can open, or if at all, and when you can open, if at all, right?
But so far, the collaborations we are having, so far, it's like when it's like very early stage, very early ideas, you can be quite open. But when it comes, it's you have to realize that there is a very long journey from an idea or some early prototype to actually commercial marketable value. So that you have to protect. But the early prototyping and early thinking, there we are open and we do collaborate openly.
And just referring back, I think, to something Kelly said, because Kelly, you said you are actually interested in opening up some of perhaps your data, or at least some of your outputs, right? But there was a tag on that might be, I don't know if the word was disused or not so current research, right?
Yeah, discontinued, or for data, for example, if it's been used in early experiments and we're not likely to touch it again, why wouldn't we share it? That kind of thing. But absolutely agree with you, Petra. It's a really fine balance between, you know, disclosing too much and losing your competitive advantage. I think it's actually probably more difficult for you as a smaller company than it is for larger companies.
We, for example, are setting up a partnership for a therapeutic area which is not in our immediate interest. And there we will very openly just publish everything because we know we don't have like enough strength to commercialize it. So that we are openly, we are opening that.
And I know of examples at Philips where they do something similar. They open up discontinued research and they put it out there. And then what often happens is somebody picks up on it, contacts them, and then they close it again and they go back to work on it. So it's an interesting kind of bounce from closed to open to closed again, to probably open in the future. So you see this kind of bouncing effect. You mentioned partnership. I see one of the questions we still have, and I think that was aimed at Kelly, was could we have some thoughts on the participation of AstraZeneca in health European partnerships and EIT KIT health? I'm not sure if that's fully clear, but
yeah, so we obviously participate in the Innovative Health Initiative, which is these really large public-private partnership consortium models. We're currently got 11 active projects there. EIT Health is currently run through our AZ Spain hub, and I know they do have a couple of consortia, I think Faithful, and they've got an Open Innovation Challenge at the moment around breast cancer diagnosis. It's certainly something that we would look to leverage more over the coming months. I think the challenge that we had more recently is a little thing called Brexit, where UK wasn't obviously eligible for some of the funding and participation there, but now we're associated country again. There'll be lots more scope to do that, and certainly these types of EU models are something that we're very interested in moving forward. I like EIT Health as well because it's that kind of almost partnership model where you have a corporate and then a company and then some public stakeholders. So it feels more like a collaborative effort that's really looking to translate.
And I see a second open question, and I'm going to point that at João. The question is, could you share the best approach to build a win-win collaboration between industry and academia or industry and research institutes? And I'm asking this because also from your slides, I'm aware that CERN has 2,500 staff, many of them technicians, but 12,000 plus scientific collaborators. So a lot of collaboration, of course, happens there, right, from across sectors.
Yeah, so yes, most of these 2,000 collaborators are from public funded organizations, but if we, and I think we touched some of these aspects already. If we start to think about long-term collaborations between scientific, private, public sector and industry, independently of the mechanism that you put in place, one of the things that we need to do is to have very clear rules from the beginning, because whatever you, and we heard it from Petra and we heard it from others, whatever you try to do, there are two different objectives. There is, in our case, for example, at CERN, it's fundamental research, but in the case of a company, they need to make profit. Okay, so the objectives need to be aligned on this. There's not going to be a difference because we have a research agreement between the company. They need to make profit out of the work and the effort they are going to put in. Another thing that we need to take into account as well is this cultural divide, because sometimes in terms of terminology, sometimes in terms of expectations of exploration of the results, there is a divide about what the public sector wants to do and what the private company needs to do with it. So this is something that also needs to be aligned from the beginning. And then by experience, another thing that we saw is also in terms of urgency and timings. So the timeframes for public sector are normally longer than for a company, because a company, and specifically they are on the high tech or on the high tech domain, they need results fast. And sometimes the public sector cannot follow how fast can be the results. So these things need to be aligned from the beginning, otherwise we increase the number of risks during the collaboration. Yeah,
very clear. And the final question I'm going to pass to Edwin, if you can open up your microphone, ask your question. If you keep it short, please.
Literally 2 minutes, because we are being pushed by another meeting here in the room.
So Edwin, if you can ask that very quickly. And I'll wait a few seconds.
Yep. Yeah, I was asking you about if there is an institution around the world that is working with all the nations to develop the science and the production of the different methodologies for be more effective at the moment to have the different industries in medicine and science.
Is that aimed at a specific speaker? At least from my side, I would think that there's many different initiatives at different levels, be they European, be they national, or be they sectoral. But there's certainly a lot of policies in place. We know, for instance, from monitoring open science practices at member state level now over the last 3 to 4 years, that there are more and more policies coming across the different ranges of open science. We also know from UNESCO, which is now running implementations of open science, that this is happening. So What I see at least is a trend that this is gradually increasing more and more. But just to echo some of the speakers, we also see a trend that as we open up more and more, we start questioning if we should be opening up more and more, not just for commercial or for profit reasons or for security reasons per se, but also about the sheer amount of data that's been opened up that can feed into AI algorithms, and especially taking into account geopolitical borders at the moment and the increasing amounts of data. So we see an increase in the policies, we see an increase in the sharing of these open outputs, but we also see question marks on how open we should be, if at all.